Hey everybody, welcome back to Movieverse. My name is Brian, and I'm joined by Jason. And today we're going to be watching episode 3 of season 1 of The Legend of Vox Machina. So far, we have killed a dragon, which in Dungeons and Dragons, dragons are heavily present in that medium.
It's a big moment.
So
a big moment.
They started off the season with the dragon, although it did not last as long as you probably thought it would. And now we get into the real meat and potatoes of season 1, starting with episode 3.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I completely whiffed on the prime suspect of who I thought was bad, and
yeah. Well, the show was definitely telling you like, hey, it's this guy, and then they did the little like switcheroo on you. So.
And having them defeat a dragon in the second episode is really interesting, considering how much you told me dragons are powerful, how powerful they are in this world.
Yeah. So another interesting thing that we won't get too far into, but in Dungeons and Dragons, they age like any other living being, but dragons can live for a crazy long time. So there's like young dragons, adult dragons, and then like legendary dragons. Like it's like a whole thing. There's like a whole like hierarchy. I would say that dragon that they faced in episode 2 was probably like an adult dragon. So very powerful, but not like the most powerful dragon. So, but it still takes a lot of skill, and obviously you saw the army be just decimated by the dragon in the second episode. So, All right, so we've just been introduced to 2 more characters, Delilah and Silas, and so now we will see where we go from here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into episode 3 of The Legend of Vox Machina. Okay, getting some Percival backstory. This looks like a happy family.
Something's gonna happen. Yep.
Would be a shame if somebody were to mess it up.
Oh.
His whole family is being murdered.
Trauma.
Yeah. A little plague doctor mask back there.
Nice. Yeah.
That's a really depressing line. Another trope of Dungeons and Dragons is just having a terrible backstory. Just like a traumatic backstory. It's another trope. Not every character has a terrible backstory. A lot of my characters that
if it's consistent enough to where you call it a trope, it's
a lot of my characters that I make in Dungeons and Dragons have traumatic backstories.
Are you trying to tell us something, Brian?
Well, no, you're trying to like justify the person going on like quests and stuff like that. And like, if you think about it, most well-headed individuals aren't going off into danger willingly. You know what I mean?
Said.
So,
yeah.
You're either trying to escape something or, whatever. It could be a lot of things.
It's a boring character if it doesn't have any like stakes or something.
Yeah. Hey, they got a keep. Look at that. It's a piece of shit. It's like she's Snow White with all the animals, and they're just like, go to sleep.
I'm simply suggesting you could all benefit from some well-practiced restraints.
Percy's just like, why do I hang out with you guys?
Hello?
Oh.
Vox Machina.
Definitely needs a little upkeep.
Yeah, somebody needs to clean that place up. But it's a big place. Fucking doors. That's another D&D thing. We'll get into that.
Hope you didn't feel the need to bring a housewarming present.
I did.
She's just nonplussed.
Sovereign Uriel expects you at his dinner.
Oh shit, that's tonight.
Finally, a proper evening.
Structure.
Yeah, Percy's like, please. Get me out of this place.
We appreciate the gravity of the situation and will present ourselves with the utmost dignity.
Sure you will. Sure you will.
I shall brief them on royal etiquette and
Definitely a game I'm not playing ever.
Yeah, did you know that ball tag was a game? You know, in
Ah.
like medieval times, yeah, medieval fantasy
Hmm.
times. My balls. Oh, that line delivery. Oh, they can clean up. Look at that.
Be preserved. Be charmed. Protocol. Sorry, if you broke it, it must be checked.
It's hopeless.
Another Matt Mercer cameo.
From him on, Vox Machina. Allow me. Ahem. Vox
Question mark?
Machina, champions of justice, hunters of dragons, destroyers of chastity.
Now that's an entrance.
What are you looking at?
They've obviously never been to a civilized party in their life.
We got to reuse those.
Yeah.
All over Tal'Dorei for Daxia.
He's in heaven right now.
Yeah.
Lord Silas and Lady Delilah.
They're dropping a lot of city names in that line. Classic anime frame right there.
Yep.
Little like fish islands on the face. The show is heavily inspired by like animes, so you'll see some of that kind of stuff. But they all worked in anime and video games and stuff. So
It's
Oh.
them. Whitestone was my home until those fiends took everything from me. Why don't I make myself scarce and slip
that dude's job sucks.
It's got to be a better way of carrying that
Yeah,
up there.
that's what I was thinking.
Oh my
Like,
god.
My safe word's mommy.
mommy's a
That doesn't
terrible
seem
safe
like a-
word. Like you
That
need
does
something
not
that's
seem like a safe word he would
Yeah.
use.
Yeah,
Has the squirts?
you need something like pineapple.
It seems like he would absolutely say it and not be a safe word.
Great cover scan. Ooh, across the table.
There's no way he's going to be able to sit there.
Thank you, everyone, for making the journey in.
Percy. Percy.
He's just staring like a perv.
He said the Briarwood took everything. Percy.
Pretty sure you're not supposed to talk when the sovereign's talking, you know? And also, like, throwing utensils probably aren't the best table manners.
So you just walk over to the Briarwoods, say hello to break the ice, then punch him in the face.
It's a great idea.
We'll pocket that. We'll do
Yeah.
that later, maybe.
Yeah. That'll be plan B. Another great scene of showing off their skill sets. Or at least his skill set.
Hmm.
What's that butler's name from Mr. Deeds?
Oh,
Know what I'm talking
Lord.
about? Very
Yeah,
sneaky.
the one
son.
who's... yeah, very sneaky.
That's essentially Vax. It's the same character, basically.
Oh, snake with the eye patch.
Yeah.
I've heard dark rumors about Whitestone. They say no one travels in or out of your lands.
That's a bloody steak.
Perhaps. Or perhaps I might be forced to send a garrison of troops to check on your city.
You won't need to do that.
Yeah, they didn't like that very much.
Oh,
You are right. There's no need.
okay, Jafar.
Exactly, he got you forward.
Whitestone's independence is not to be challenged.
I mean, they're playing just like you know, just like before. Keyleth's like, what? Did anybody else do that?
Have we met before?
Percy, stop being so obvious, dude.
We haven't met.
Croc.
Okay.
Delilah, my husband, Silas.
That's got to be Azula's
Those are
voice actress, right?
Oh yeah,
I have a set
It
price
is.
like,
Grey Delisle. That's her name. Scanlan just cannot help himself. He will make everything awkward as soon as possible. Oh, the snake's coming back. And it's a belt. Look at that.
And it's a belt. It's functional.
Functional and fashionable.
Oh.
Ruh-roh, Shaggy.
Enough, we're not originally from White
That looks like a good pie.
That does.
Can you imagine being the animators who have to like draw that pie? You think they were like, you know, it was like they were at the office late at night and they're like, man, I'm
You can
really
either
hungry.
have bad looking pie or you can have, I mean, pie that you could literally want to eat out of the screen.
Yeah.
Kudos to them.
We concocted that.
My man is just staring.
Yeah.
The Girolos abdicated. They abandoned their people to rot.
What a bitch.
Thank you, Sovereign Uriel. But I think we
But also like, this is Percy. He's supposed to be like the most like well like buttoned up
But yeah,
party
to
member.
the
And
T.
he's
Yeah.
not keeping his cool at all, and they're just egging him on.
Briarwoods. They murdered my entire family.
That's also like a huge anime like trope, having like
Yeah,
the light reflect
yeah.
off the lenses.
Anime is all about the eyes, man.
Yeah.
Just different ways you can showcase that.
Did you see that?
Whispered one.
Ooh.
Vax, you might want to get out of there, bud.
Mhm.
Well, too late.
Just turning down your bed. Be right back.
He was not very deceptive in that moment.
Wait, Vax is up there. What if he needs help?
Plus he's got the squirts.
Priorities, Grog, priorities.
Allow Scanlan Shorthalt to delight you with an after-dinner song. A, two, three, four. Give me a tug.
His cod piece turned into a disco ball, essentially.
And you look delicious.
What's going on here, guys? This looks a little,
What are we? Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
If you didn't catch it, when they were walking through the hall, there was a mirror, and it showed her
Oh, they
reflection,
did-
but did
no.
not show his.
Not his.
Because he be a vampire.
Ow.
That's you're gonna feel that tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Took the stairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw it, Grog!
Come here, Foxdick. There's no way out
Oh.
tonight, my friend.
He's getting fucked up.
Would you look at that, dear? It's the pup who survived.
I feel like he always has problems with that weapon.
Guns aren't typical in this world. Very early technology.
I've got you, Vax. Come on, please.
Thanks, Pickle.
Walking around with nothing happening to him.
One of the reasons why I love this show so much is because these are like, you know, we've seen fantasy like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, but like you don't see movies with like these kind of like power sets and like
Yeah.
this much like magic in them. Oh, he healed. And now he has a sword.
And a black sword.
And yeah, the weapons that evil people carry always have to be black.
Oh. Not good.
And is strengthened by blood.
We're not doing terrible, right?
Yeah, I gotta do something. Oh, there you go, Scanlan. Really pulling your weight here.
Oh. Reginald.
Yeah, Reginald's enjoying himself. He's having a good time. They also do such a great job with the fight
Eek.
scenes. Like the choreography of the fight scenes are so good. Ooh.
Ooh.
This little one is entirely too much trouble.
How long can she keep it up? Oh shit.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. So does he not have balls, or is he just not
Or are
affected
they
by
just
that? Yeah,
yeah
they're balls of steel.
steel?
Waluigi looking face.
Lady Briarwood, I did as you ordered. Your belongings are here.
Damn, he was on call.
Stop.
They said fuck him.
Get out of here, Des.
Now his gun works.
Yeah.
I had them. Had them. And you let them slip away.
Did you?
He's got some anger he needs to work out. You know,
Yeah.
your whole family being murdered will probably do that to you.
Yeah.
Start talking. Why were the Briarwoods here?
Might want to answer him.
He's got a little bit of smoke coming out of him.
Hmm.
The actual fuck.
There's that mask.
I'm only. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, he's. Interesting little shadow you got going on there, Percy.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Halt right there. Arrest Vox Machina.
Woo! They loved me in there. Oh, I was on fire.
Late to the party as
He
usual,
missed.
Scanum.
One hell of a party there, Scan.
He just comes out with like cake icing on him. Got some funky beats going on. In the campaign, Sam Riegel, who plays Scanlan, he would basically on the spot kind of improv using like music from like the top of the tracks, and he would like replace some of the words and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But basically he uses his like song as like part of his magic or whatever. But for the use of the show, he made his own songs, original songs.
That's awesome.
So they were like, yeah, the licensing fees for some of those songs that I used to like improv are, you know, too much. Because like you'd be doing like Taylor Swift and like all these, they can't pay for those songs for this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so episode 3, we got a little bit of Percy backstory. We got to see a little bit of the Briarwoods and what they can do. What'd you think?
They can do a lot. They can do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Vox Machina killed a dragon, and these guys are just like wiping the floor.
They look
with them.
worse. They looked worse than the dragon, yeah. But it's a great episode, man. Great episode. The action in it with the fight scenes are really well done. Like the animation on them, there's no cheap movement. Everything's really still detailed as you know, as much as detail as they can. They did, and they did it well.
Yeah, they definitely made a point of, with the money that was raised, plus I'm sure the money that was also given to them from Amazon for, airing this season. They definitely stretched that money as much as they could and got as much for that money as they could. And it shows in the show, not only with the detail with the fight scenes, like you said, but even a detail that I caught this time for the first time that I didn't catch in my previous viewing of the show is when Percy's sitting at the table and the Briarwoods are across from them, right before they introduce Sovereign Uriel, you can just see his eyes just kind of like shiver just a little bit. Like you can just tell that he's like seriously angry. Because if you just have the character, with his eyebrows furrowed and he's just like looking at, his enemy, okay, sure, that's fine. But like the detail just to have his eyes just move just a tiny bit
adds way more in that.
Yeah, that's a detail that again I did not see before this viewing of it. So yeah, there's I can't tell you how many times I've seen this episode at this point, but there's still things that I'm finding in the show that I didn't see on previous viewings.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a mark of a good show, mark of a good episode.
Yeah, and now we've gotten the next bit of villains uh, to kind of forge the story going forward.
Yeah, yeah. Super excited. I enjoyed that we got a little darkness with Percy. Um,
Yeah,
really cool to see
it's a
that
big it's a big
plague mask come out and
yeah, it's a big change as far as like the tone of the show, right? Because
right.
the
Yeah.
first two episodes were again kind of silly, and there is still some silliness. That's just kind of Critical Role as its own show
Hmm.
and being adapted to this show. They're friends sitting around a table having a good time. There's going to be laughs and all that kind of stuff, but there's also an emotional attachment from the characters, uh, and you feel that in the show. And then yeah, things start to get a little bit darker. As we get a little bit deeper into the story, again, just has to deal with what's the story that's being told, what are the events that occur in that story and stuff like that. And yeah, here you start to get a little taste of that darker tone that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
along with the story. So that's fun to me.
And quick question, but Silas's sword, does that have a special name? Or I mean, if I'm gonna start playing Dungeons and Dragons, how do I get that sword?
um, you know what? I don't know if that was so. That was a sword that Silas used in their D&D campaign. So Matt plays all the characters besides like the heroes of Vox Machina, right? So what they call
Okay. Yeah.
NPCs or non-player characters. So Matt
Yeah.
Mercer plays all the NPCs, which Silas was one of those. Um, and he did have a sword, and it operated a very similar way. Um, but I don't know if it was a an item that Matt created for his character, or
Hmm.
if it's a character that is in D&D lore. I'm not sure on that one, so anybody who does know, comment below and let us know. But yeah, that sword, it does have a name, but I will not tell it to you because
Okay.
that will be answered later.
All right.
So, but yeah, it's a pretty cool sword. So basically, like, you're cutting up somebody, the blood on the sword gets soaked up into the sword, and then it gets bigger, or So
Yeah.
assuming it gets more powerful, the more blood it consumes. But
Yeah. What a good weapon.
yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, you're a vampire, so you drink blood, and now you have a sword that also drinks blood. It seems like you two would be fighting over blood at that point. Like, at what
Yeah.
point does he
Yeah.
get to drink the blood, and at what
Do
point
you?
does the sword
Yeah.
get the blood? Yeah,
How big of a sword do you want? How thirsty are you?
yeah, exactly. How big can the sword get? Because at some point
Yeah,
it's going
that's
to be
true.
too
I
big
mean,
for him.
yeah.
At some point it's going to be too big for him to wield. I would assume. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's probably like
Get
super
like a
strong.
Final Fantasy sword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just dragging it on the ground and yeah, or Final Fantasy or Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that that you enjoy this episode. Again, it's just gonna keep getting better. I know. I feel like I might be hyping it up too much, but then again, I'm not because it is that good. But I'm just like,
Hmm.
the more I tell you that it's gonna get better, it's like, you know what I mean. But
Yeah. And I think this is a good third episode that showed your explanation of the first two episodes being that kind of introduction
yeah,
where
they're
the
very much like
story pieces.
their own like self-contained story. Those first two
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah. So having the first episodes be a part one, part two, like makes total sense.
Mhm.
The story itself takes kind of a backseat. Now we're getting into like this was a very good start
Yeah,
of we know like we don't know everything about the characters, or I don't know everything about the characters yet, but I understand this world that we're in. I understand, the kind of the background of it. Now we're getting into the meat of the story.
yeah. We've learned a little bit about Percy and where he comes from. We've learned about Whitestone, which is his home. So that's
Hmm.
Whitestone is a city that he is from. We know that his family were murdered, and he, is basically saying that the Briarwoods were involved in some aspect of
Yeah.
his family being killed. And even Delilah Briarwood said, during the dinner that they took over Whitestone when his family abdicated, which was, just them, trying to twist the knife in him and make him have a reaction, which worked in the moment.
Which worked, yeah.
Yeah. So there's two sides of this story. Obviously, we can tell that the Briarwoods are the bad guys, so they're lying and making up their own side of the story.
Yeah.
But also, it's giving the reason why people haven't gone to Whitestone and like removed them from power, because they have their story that they've been telling the public for however long.
Yeah.
And then Percy's saying, this is the real story. This is what really happened. And whereas before he couldn't find anybody who believed him, but now he has these group of friends who care about him and therefore care about his well-being and what he has to say and blah 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 blah. So they're caring about what he has to say about the situation. But they just attacked diplomatic allies of Tal'Dorei.
Yeah, it doesn't look well. Doesn't
so
bode well.
It doesn't look really great for
The
them.
perception of it is terrible.
Yeah, well, also, Sovereign Uriel got Jafar'd, so he's probably more likely to take the side of the Briarwoods at this point. So yeah, it does not look good for them. Although the Briarwoods just taking off, also I wouldn't think would look good. But again, if the Sovereign is
just take a look at
some
Grog.
type of-
He didn't get all those cuts just not doing anything.
yeah. Oh, I tripped down the stairs.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite member of the group so far?
I mean, so far, I mean, it's hard for me to say so far just because I've seen both seasons, but then I've also seen the live stream campaign, and I've actually watched campaign 1 probably 2 times all the way through, which is insane. And then I've watched kind of like highlights and stuff like that. But so there's a difference. There's like favorite character in like the campaign, and then favorite character like in the actual like show. But for my favorite character of the show, it kind of changes from time to time. Because what you'll see is the show does a great job. You've seen it in the first 2 episodes, but the show does a great job of giving each character their time to shine. And so there will be times, and I can guarantee you that there will be times for you specifically, where you're watching the show and you might think your favorite character is this person, and then an episode will happen and you'll be like, oh no, that person is my favorite character. And that just continues to happen. The cool thing about this show, and because Critical Role is the main creative authority on the show, all the cast members of Critical Role are executive producers on the show, and they all provide invaluable information specifically to their characters. And I've watched some of like behind the scenes stuff with like people who worked in the writers' room and stuff, and they talked about how, and I mean, this is kind of like a crazy comparison, but they basically said that talking with the cast members about their characters is basically like sitting in the room with like Stan Lee and Steve Ditko talking about like their comic book characters. Just because like these cast members, they created their characters, they created the backstory of their characters, and they lived with their characters for years. Like the first campaign went on for probably 3 years, but that was before. I mean, that was just like the live stream of the campaign. They even played with those characters for a couple years prior to that. So it's like they know their characters so intimately that they can just provide so much depth to the characters, to the writers. So again, I've mentioned before about how I think that episodes 1 and 2 they're not my favorite of the first season, because it's them trying to introduce the world and the characters, and I think the story is kept simple enough for you to not get overwhelmed with information.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to keep track of this like really intricate plot while also learning the place and the people. And also like what their abilities are and stuff like that. So as we get deeper into the season, you'll start to notice that like there are a lot of intricacies with these characters, and that information was, or that intricacy in the story was made possible because the cast members were able to provide such a plethora of information about their characters. So
Yeah.
a long-winded answer about who my favorite character is. Sometimes it's Vax, sometimes it's Scanlan, sometimes it's Keyleth, sometimes it's Grok. You just keep going through.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the
it
situation like
varies.
prevents itself because I have a feeling that's how it's going to be for me. And you saying that that each decision or each kind of action kind of creates an opportunity for a character to be your favorite is really enticing. It's really good for a group show because a lot of the group kind of shows where it's like a group of heroes or something, so, you kind of have your favorite picked out, and it kind of shades your perception of the show moving forward. So, one of the shows that I mentioned to you last week when we were talking off, outside of our reaction was another Seven Deadly Sins, a different anime where it's 7 characters, and I definitely have my favorite and kind of don't really focus on some of the other characters. So having a team where it can kind of flow based on what happens is very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I do have a theory of who I think your favorite character will be this season, but I'm going to hold off on that until we get a little bit further into the storyline because I don't want to tip you off to where this could possibly be going. All right, that's episode 3. Thank you guys so much for watching our reaction of The Legend of Vox Machina. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Please comment down below what your favorite moments are from the first 3 episodes, and if we missed any details that you'd like to point out, comment down below. Please stay away from spoilers though. Other than that, we'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye.